Hey, hi Norbert.
Hey, hi. What just happened?
Let's get lots of intros. You can just do that for another hour. That would be good. An hour of 30-second countdowns. That would be like
It's good content.
128 times through, yes. So greetings.
How are
I
you doing?
I've been vibe coding. I've been
Oh,
inspired by your stuff, and I think you saw in the channels. I
hmm
wrote Dart, MCP, um, a pub dev server, so I could go
nice.
in and query packages and query packages sorted by anything that's sorting there. And what I found pleasant about the experience is that, first off, I've been watching lots of videos on vibe coding just to kind of get a sense of what's working best for people. And the first thing I kept seeing over and over again is have a plan and let it work through it.
Oh yeah.
So I first spent time creating a PRD. And then after I got that to have all the necessary components of what I wanted to create with this tool, I had also included fetches in context for Dart MCP so that it would know how that works. And I had only vaguely said stuff about, and I want to use Dart to access some search API if there is one on PubDev. And I had not seen that there was one because I didn't look, basically. It figured out that hey, there's this search thing
hmm
that's as a package in PubDev that attaches to the PubDev search API. Do you want to use that? And I go, oh,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that
awesome.
sounds good. So I added that to my requirements. And again, it looked all that stuff up through mostly, I think, with the RAG one that I have, and then occasionally a Brave search when that sort of kicked in every once in a while. And it gathered enough information to be able to come up with. I then said, I said, so that PRD, is that something we can implement? Yes. And again, leaving the context open because Gemini's got a million tokens. So I just keep going until it gets about halfway, then I reset. And I said, okay, now give me a implementation plan. And it gave me a 6-step implementation plan that I could follow step by step. And I said, now do step one. And then, of course, I do git commits between each of these operations. But
hmm
it does stage one. And then I said, now go back and knowing what you know now, I'm using human terms because it's the only way I think of it. Knowing what you know now, is there anything you would change in the remaining steps? And I think that was an important trick because it
Oh yeah.
actually updated some of the following steps based on some of the things that it had sort of sorted out that finally worked for step one. But about 2.5 hours from concept to complete implementation that worked and published. It even wrote the README that exactly
That's awesome.
describes how to correctly install itself, and then the commands that it knows how to do, including some examples. I mean, that was
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a
mind
great way
blowing.
to use it. I really like how you kind of do another pass after it kind of figured stuff out and searched
Yeah,
online maybe. So I think that's a really good example of it kind of first doing some research and then using that updated knowledge, actually going off and doing a good implementation.
right,
That's awesome.
right. I think asking broad questions like, do you have all the knowledge you need to fulfill this,
Mm,
makes it think a little bit more and go, oh, I could search on this, I could search on that to
mhm.
know. I think it understands somehow the this is so weird because it's all emergent behavior, but I'm describing how it feels to use these things
Oh, yeah.
when I know it's just auto completion. It's just auto completion, but somehow it thinks. This is
Oh, yeah.
my continual philosophical paradox right now. I'm contemplating my own personal existence based on the fact that an auto completion can mimic most of my behavior. I'm a little worried about that. Not all my behavior. There are times when I have a good joke or two that
Getting
hasn't quite figured.
philosophical, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So what are we doing today? Here.
So today I have big plans, and we're basically gonna scrap everything and restart from scratch. No,
Oh,
I'm joking. But
oh,
I have thought about this for a long time. Last stream, we kind of took a look at the core kind of gameplay and like the issues that like we had a very clear plan in the beginning, and I felt like over kind of the time when we were implementing stuff, there were some design issues that I wasn't sure how to overcome. And I think I have a pretty good system, which sounds fun to me, that requires slight tuning. It's like it's not a refactor, we can pretty much reuse everything, but it's um going into like a slightly, I wouldn't even say a different direction, it's more like how the specifics are played out. But for that, let me share my screen and we can actually check out where we have left off and
okay.
what we are about to do.
I presume you
So
know which
let's,
buttons to press in StreamYard here. Oh, you do. All
I
right.
do. So I hope the size is big enough. I
You make
increased
it
it.
like
Let me do
maybe
one more.
one bigger at least.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, where we left off last time is we had this fabulous main screen, which, yeah, it's all right. We can start a game and we have a bunch of cards in our hand that we can play. Each and every card is like the illustration is generated by GPT-4o. The cards themselves are kind of a mixture of creativity, but honestly, like lots of it is coming from just AI being creative. And the idea was that you play features. To play those, playing those features allows you to then play marketing cards, and based on kind of the amount of features and marketing cards you played, you get some kind of multiple of users. And it's a
Mhm.
roguelike deck building deck, so you try to improve your deck, get more users. Kind of the fun part is you need to reach certain user thresholds before management cuts off the budget and you're out. And for this, we've created kind of a bunch of widgets, like a bunch of cards, like a hand with nice animations and so on. And by the way, for those who are wondering, this app right here that I'm using is Vide. It's an ID that I've been building and still working on. I'm actually like right in the middle of doing a huge release for the web. It's currently in private alpha. So just doing a bunch of testing, trying to get all the bugs sorted out. So this is running on like an ancient version, this one. I didn't want to touch it because this is where we started our project with. But the newest version is web-based. It has an integrated AI that does stuff like this for us. And my goal, and I think we're not too far off, like maybe a couple more weeks, that at some point we might be able to ditch cursor completely and just do everything in Vite. It has like an AI chat, it has a file explorer, a file editor. So it's like an IDE really tailored towards Flutter, but it's not fully ready just yet. So we're staying with the kind of old Vite version with cursor and mostly using Gemini 2.5 Pro for the prompting and like the model. Yes, that's kind of catching everybody up to speed. If anybody has any questions, if there's anything, just put it into the chat and we can discuss and take a look.
I'll flag it. I'll flag it even if Norbert's heads down on the coding. I can definitely make him aware that there's something in the chat. So
Awesome.
feel
So
free. Actually, I thought we went just cold into the show. Do we need to introduce ourselves or just go back and watch previous shows?
I mean, we can introduce ourselves. It's always, I'm not used to this streaming where you have to kind of reintroduce yourself every time because people might tune in without having done so before. Do you want to start?
Well, so I just want to first say this is part 5 of a series. And so in the Flutter community YouTube channel, we have the history of all 5 episodes. So you can go back and watch the previous 4 before you watch this one. Of course, you can't do that in real time, but you can go back and look at that. I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a Google developer expert. I've been involved with Dart and Flutter. Well, Dart for a decade already, and Flutter for as long as it's been around. So 7-ish years now, somewhere in there, 6-ish years. And what I do all day is answer questions for people uh, unfortunately, mostly for free. Can't pay my bills on that, but at least I have fun answering questions for people all the time. So that's really cool. And I'm also the co-host for our Wednesday morning show, Wednesday morning in the U.S. Show called Hump Day Q&A, where every week we bring on talented guests and do some live coding and stuff like that. I've been doing that for multiple years, probably in the 3-year range at this point, maybe
Maybe
4.
even more.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's
It's
it blurs after like a year. After a
it's
year, there's no measurements anymore.
yeah, it's been around for a long time. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it was not from the beginning of Flutter, but I think it wasn't too far off.
Well, it started as I know now we're going down a rabbit hole, but let me just finish that thought. It started as being regular office hours on a Zoom channel.
Mhm,
And then Simon and Scott decided to move it over to be something they might as well stream and record it.
mhm,
And I didn't get involved right to begin with. It was on for about 3 or 4 months, and then we did the Flutter Apprentice book series, and I became involved weekly as a result of that. And so I've been a co-host ever since the Flutter Apprentice series finished and it rolled into just a general Wednesday talk.
mhm.
So yeah, enough on that. Let's talk about you and this.
Yes, exactly. So my name is Norbert. I am kind of the host of this vibe coding game thingy. I basically, so the backstory of this is I'm working on this AI IDE called Vide, and I just wanted to build more projects and kind of use it more myself. So thought I like games. I built multiple, like lots of different small games in Flutter before. Fortunately, most of them never really got released. So I thought, how about I combine the two? I get to use my own product and think more. I get to build a game and have some fun in the process. I've been doing Flutter for lots of years. I think was in the alpha, so 2018 probably.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, if anybody wants to do some vibe coding, feel free to catch me at FlutterCon New York. I'm gonna be there. I think it's in about 6 weeks.
Yep.
I'll do a workshop where we'll be vibe coding, taking a look at different prompts, techniques, things. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that's the short summary about me. And
Yeah.
the game,
I'll be there too if on my first non-Google Flutter event. So yeah.
ooh,
So I'm breaking through new stuff.
nice. And yeah, so the game, I showed it before. It's a roguelike deck builder for anybody who's a gamer and knows similar games such as Slave the Spire, Balatro. Yeah, I think those two are like the main kind of inspirations that I've been taking and which I personally played. The goal of these games is to you start off a run, which is basically you start with a pretty weak hand, pretty weak in quotes opponents, or some sort of goal you have to hit, and over the course of the run, you build up your deck by choosing powerful relics, upgrading your cards, doing certain things, and eventually you build up your deck to kind of go into a specific niche, do cool combos, get a bunch of users, do a bunch of damage or whatever. And this is exactly the niche this game falls into, and it's kind of developer themed, very much humorous and very lighthearted. So taking a look at these cards, we have so by the way, we'll change most of them in a minute, but just to kind of give you the idea of that, is implementing features such as infinite scroll. And there's some funny text. Some say user from 2023 is still scrolling to this day, or dark mode, build in public, transparency, or is it just free debugging? So most, okay, I would say most, but all the jokes and things are coming from an AI. So if they're bad, don't blame it on me. But honestly, like it's pretty good. Like I really like the humor. I think we used ChatGPT for these. Microtransactions only cost your soul and 99 cents. Really like these. But yeah, to kind of explain what the issue was. So for those who have been at the last live stream, you have seen me struggle and trying to use AI to kind of get more information and knowledge in. And since then, I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, looked at similar games, and kind of tried to get inspired, which is like super hard to get inspired on command. But the main problem we're trying to solve, or that I was trying to solve, we have way too many cards right now. Like looking at this hand, this is just confusing. You have to read a bunch of stuff. It's first of non kind of standard. It's not easy to get into. Typically, a game like this is super easy to get into, and it kind of ramps up in complexity as you progress. And also, kind of these deck builder games live from the fact that you have replayability in terms of cards. So for example, you have a hand, you have very simple cards that can be replayed over and over again because your deck is very small, and the cards you play are typically put in some kind of discard pile, and then once your draw pile is empty, it's going to be reshuffled and put into your draw pile. But looking at this card, for example, you have a card called Dark Mode. It doesn't really make sense to have like a specific feature implement it and then kind of do the same. Like it just doesn't fit thematically. So these were kind of the problems that I've been thinking about and wasn't sure how to fix, but I think I have a pretty elegant solution on how to kind of just change the mechanics kind of to get this. And I would love to hear your opinion on it, and maybe somebody from chat. If
Yeah.
nobody objects, I would be implementing those. So first off, it's not going to be like feature cards and marketing cards anymore. Like you're not going to have a card called Dark Mode in your hand, which is kind of a bummer because I really like the illustrations and kind of the
Yeah.
theme of these. But it's going to be way better. Basically, cards in your hand are going to be way simpler. For the beginning, there's going to be 3 types of cards. There's going to be coding cards, there's going to be project management cards, and marketing cards. And basically, these cards are no longer like a specific feature or like a specific thing you do, but a general action. So, for example, a coding card would be like work an hour on a feature. So you can play that card, it can be put into a discard pile, you can redraw it, and make sense to replay the same card, like work for an hour, code for an hour. And instead of kind of choosing the feature to work on by using this card, every time you kind of work on a feature, there's a pop-up. Wait, let me actually visualize this. Open up the Figma. There is gonna be a, here we go. Get this over. Cool. So basically the idea is you play like a code for an hour card, then a pop-up appears, or like the specifics of the design might be debatable, where you have to choose which feature to work on. Let's say we have like a dark theme. Okay, this is tiny. Let's crank it up.
The challenge here is to make it not enough like actual work that nobody will want to play it.
Exactly. Like it has to be fun, it has to be lighthearted. It needs to be easy. Like these deck builder games live from the fact that they start off really, really easy. And over time, like your deck progresses into like a specific niche and you try to build around a certain idea. And then it becomes kind of more complicated, but it has to be easy to get started with.
Yeah.
So basically the idea is that you play like a work card and you then decide which feature to work on. And there's always kind of 3 features to decide on. Like the specifics are debatable, like we can always adjust those, but I think this is a really elegant way to solve this. Say we have a dark theme, we have login, and we have, I don't know, infinite scroll, whatever. And each of these features requires a certain number of hours to be worked on. For example, this requires 8 hours. This requires, I don't know, 3 hours. And this one may require, I don't know, 5 hours. This means each feature can actually be unique. This can include like some kind of fun illustrations like we had before, but we still have the replayability. So you always play like work cards, then you work on a feature, and once the feature is done, you can work on the next feature. So what's kind of the goal of all of this? That's where kind of marketing and project management cards come into play. Project management cards are, or like that's what I've been thinking of, are kind of utility cards, which you play to manipulate what you're working on right now. For example, you may have a project management card called, I don't know, postpone a feature, whatever, which would allow you to kind of take a feature and re-roll it or like replace it with some other feature, which may make more sense for a release right now, as that's more fitting to your goal. And you also have marketing cards. Oh, he's gone. Anyways, you also have marketing cards. Can you see me? I assume you can. Kind of having marketing cards. These ones are kind of, or that's kind of the weakest link that I haven't been like thoroughly thinking about just yet, but they're gonna be some kind of multiplier which allows you to have like to actually get users and do things with users. And so here's the cool part which really ties everything together. Most deck building games live from the fact that you can kind of progress your deck by using some kind of powerful relics. Balatro has these Joker cards. Hi, Randall.
Yeah.
Have you heard what I've said before, or were you
I've heard,
gone?
I heard most of it. So
Okay, awesome.
continue.
So yeah, like most games have some kind of relic system where you have powerful cards. For example, Slay the Spire is actually called relics. Balatro has these Joker cards. And in this game, these relics could be developer cards or like object cards. For example, you could get a new developer who gives you like a passive effect of like doubling the amount of work done in the same amount of time. So you may play a card, work on a feature for 1 hour, but because you have that developer relic card, it's going to actually result in 2 hours of work being done. And those can be all kinds of fun developers. Like we can have a card called the 10x developer, who's just going to 10x multiply your output, whatever. And you may also have like cards which are new computer, which just makes things faster, or like these kind of things. And these relics can be bought whenever you kind of finish a sprint, which is kind of probably like a fixed number of turns, or every turn could represent like a week, and like a sprint could then be 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And after that, you get money based on the number of users you have and kind of the monetization. So there's a couple of stats that you have to balance. First off, I think it could be fun to have like an app rating in there, where if you implement certain amount of like certain number of like certain features rather, that will increase your app rating but may not give you any other effects, and some may decrease your app rating but might give you more money or like more reach. For example, let's say you implement ads that may decrease your app rating, but it may increase the amount of money you get per user. So you kind of have to balance what kind of things you work on and what you don't, to kind of have an app that actually makes money, that has users, and is not hated by everyone. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of like the new way that I would like to go forward towards, which means right now, saying goodbye to these very specific cards and replacing them with kind of more generic ones like work. And the first couple of turns are like in most games. I played a couple of deck builder games. The most couple of turns are just very simple. You don't have to really think about what you're doing. It's very straightforward, and that's good. That's kind of getting used to stuff and implementing stuff. Not implementing, but kind of teaching people how to play the game. Why is there a fly? Oh my god. There's a fly flying in front of the camera.
No.
Be gone. Anyways, so that's fine.
Norbert, it's a bug. It's not a feature.
Be gone, bug. We don't want you here.
Debugger.
I need a debugger. Yeah. Can you help me?
Not remotely. I don't have a remote debugger.
Dang it. Um, so yes, so I think for today, the battle plan would be to kind of get the basics back in, kind of get stuff out and get basics back in. So what I would like to do is have a way like have your deck where you have like these simple cards work an hour on a feature and it's going to cost you like one energy point or like an hour. So there, I think there could be multiple resources which you need to balance, like app rating, maybe burnout, or like some other kind of work related resource. But I think that's not too important right now. And for this, we also need to, like, we have the cards and we need a way to decide which feature to play towards. So probably it's best to play it. We don't have like the sprint board anymore. You play like a work card and then like a pop-up opens where you choose which feature to kind of work on. I think that's pretty cool. Or maybe even better, you can hover like a card and the pop-up opens and then you drag it on top of the feature that you want to like get work done. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. This is kind of bug what is happening here. Anyways, yes. What do you think?
Sounds good. Ship it.
Cool. So let's simplify.
Well, I have to say that as a critique of your work, I can't do much because I'm not used to playing these kinds of games. So I can't give you any input on the game.
Fair. That's
Uh,
totally fine.
I'm just watching you code. I'm watching how cool it is that you can just say words into a screen and all of a sudden code shows up. It's like having a very smart but ignorant intern.
Yeah, but it's fun to see. Like honestly, I'm struggling a lot more with kind of the general game design rather than the actual code.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting. But I think honestly that's how it's supposed to be. Like you should spend more time thinking about kind of the value or like the game or the thing you're doing instead of just kind of the semantics and how to arrange these ancient symbols and this text file to make stuff magically work. Um,
Yeah,
but yes.
what this has done is shifted it from 80% of your effort going into the game and then 80% of your effort again going into implementing the game to actually 80/20,
Hmm.
which is
Exactly.
more what it wants to feel like. I wanna just get to be creative and I want to get to gameplay different things and I want to try different things and see if they play well. And what's
Yes.
great that what vibe coding is letting us starting to do is pivot a lot more
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
consider a lot more as well because we can have complex questions that say how would gameplay work in this case and have it as I keep saying that AI seems to be good at the two ends of the spectrum, which is mundane things that are the same every time, in which case
Hmm.
it's got a lot of examples to draw from and it can make one similar to those for you. And then the other end is the other extreme, which is I have no clue. Give me 5 ideas.
Oh yeah.
And it's great at both ends of that, which is, I think, is part of why I think what we're doing and what we're seeing now, especially in the last 6 months, is game changing. It's
Oh yeah.
it's gonna like root code broke yesterday, and I was sad because I couldn't go out and do some work that I wanted to get done. And I worked for like an hour and a half with the root code people, bless their souls, and thank God for them being online. And they figured out that it's because they hadn't tested it on insiders and it broke only on insiders.
Oh,
And so they rolled back the change that they made so that even I could run it on insiders, which I thought was very nice of them, but they still have to work out what the problem is.
I see. Oh, that's nice. But yeah,
Yeah.
like without AI, it's like so much more, like as you said, like I could just repeat, it's you can focus more on important stuff. So it's
Well,
really nice.
and I could never live with just auto completions anymore. I don't even use
Oh
auto
yeah.
completions at all. They just had gotten in the way a lot of the time, so I turned them off on almost everything already.
Hmm.
And now that I can, chat with something that is aware of my code, some magical beast in there that's aware of my code, and talk to it, say, this is what I want it to do. And I don't, as I was building the thing, as I talked about at the beginning of the show, I didn't write any actual code, like zero. It was all just prompts and see what the results are.
Oh yeah.
Amazing stuff.
So by the way, over here, I would kind of suggest, like, usually in these deck building games, you have like a base. Like most games are kind of combat focused, so you have kind of a card which is deal X amount of damage. So we want kind of the same for coding, and there can be multiple variations for these. Like, don't get me wrong, like you can have, like in these combat games, you may play like a simple sword strike, which does little amount of damage, and you may have like some more sophisticated thing. In our case, we start off with like a simple coding card, and later on we may have cards like late night coding or like coffee induced coding, which is like twice as effective, but like damages you, whatever. But to kind of have these new cards, I would say we have a new kind of what's it called, a type of card coding. And here, do you have an idea for a cool name of what is like the default coding? Like, is it kind of,
Default.
you know what I mean? Can you describe an action like in one word or like in 2 or 3 words, which describe like very default coding?
Hack.
Hacking. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I just first word that's short and easy. Um, uh, we could use Dijkstra's word for it, which is embugging. To put so because it was
Mhm.
the sort of debugging, he thought that was clever. So I remember quoting it all these years. Embugging.
Bugging. I think it's a bit sophisticated,
I
probably
know,
for
yeah.
like a standard card.
You'd have to get the whole joke. That would be bad. Coding.
Maybe
Why?
basic coding, something
Um,
like this. We don't have to be sophisticated right now. We can always
crank
change
it
later.
out. Just crank it out.
Exactly.
No, I mean that could be it. Crank it out.
Oh, I see.
It was so in message. It didn't sound like it was a meta message.
Cranking out. Yeah, yeah, that could also be one. I mean, I would say let's just go with basic coding. We can adjust later. And like the text in here is probably gonna be something like, um, I mean, it doesn't matter too much if we separate like the input work from the output work, but like maybe like this costs hours, but
Mhm.
the input probably shouldn't be hours, so we can decouple it. So in an hour, you can perform like different amounts of work. I mean, we could call it the work units, which is very boring. Maybe there's a more fun way to call it. How about progress? Just progress, like keeping it very vague, like very infomercial, where you don't actually say anything, but you spoke for 2 hours.
Yeah. Lining of code. Lines of
I
code.
actually like this. This doesn't look too bad. I mean, we can always change it later, right?
Yeah.
This is nothing that is final. Um,
No.
so let's take this image,
Not until it's
pull it
burned up to DVD. We get to make changes all the way up until then.
exactly, like we can change whenever. So
Yeah.
now I'm gonna take this prompt template I wrote as an idea. We don't pass an idea, and we'll just try to see if GPT-4o comes up with something cool. Okay, while it's working, we can actually refactor. So this, what is this doing? It's trying to do some weird stuff, right? Yeah, I think it has some memory of what I was trying to do before.
Oh,
All right, let me actually show you what it is doing. So I pasted this and I expected it to kind of do a card. Let's just redo it. Copy this in and then create an image. And now we need to move this over. And hopefully it will not open a canvas, but rather actually create an image if this doesn't fail uploading. Like, I don't know why, but the ChatGPT app is way worse than website. But anyways, while that is generating, that shouldn't be the main focus. We can actually redo a bunch of the cards. And like, it hurts to say, but I think we can remove all of these. Like, we will reuse the animations, not the animations, the images. But we don't need the cards right now. We can keep this stuff for now. We can keep the assets actually. So let's actually start vibe coding. For this, we can tell it to please remove all the cards. Frowning face. Create a single new card called, what do we call basic coding, right? Something like this.
I think, yeah.
Basic coding, which just does nothing and uses basic coding.png, which we don't have just yet, but that is fine. Let's send this off. Oh, this is actually generating an image now.
Oh,
So let's see what we get.
have you tried the 2.0 Flash image generation model much?
I did not. Did you?
I've used it to transform things. Pretty cool, because you can picture and then a prompt, and you can actually go over and over again multiple times. In fact, the poster I'm using right now to promote my karaoke program on Mondays and Friday nights is, in fact, this beautiful woman who is not a local resident for sure, but the poster came out perfectly. The wording came out perfectly. I did it with 2 or 3 iterations. So I used the fact that I was in. This is through AI Studio. You can select. Anybody can do this for free. It's Flash 2.0 image generation is the particular model you have to pick.
Okay. I need
So
to
you
play
can
around with it sometime.
yeah, so you can feed it an image and feed it a prompt, or you can just feed it a prompt and it'll create things. It's limited in size, but you can always upscale with other stuff. So I don't really care about limited in size, as long as it gets the basics down right.
Okay,
And
let me open up.
it does understand things like aspect ratios too. So I made some wide pictures,
Oh,
some tall pictures. So it somehow understands that.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I need to try it out sometime.
Feature bug. Notice more
So
bug features. That's no that's typical. 2 to 1. Yep.
equal sounds about right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is not completely perfect, and I think at some point we probably will do another iterations. But honestly, for now, we just need one card, which kind of makes sense to repeat.
Yeah. That one looks nice.
So in here we can put this in. Not fit, not fill, tile, not crop. There we go. And we need to. And now this is kind of my pipeline of AI image work that I did, which works fairly well. Like we have, like for those who haven't seen it, not this one, previous episodes, like it's great at doing cards, but it has some issues with kind of following the details. Like as you see, we input this card without an image and generated this one, which looks good on a first kind of look, But if you look just slightly closer, it replaced basic coding with mobile app. It just changed the style of this. It changed the font. It added like this +1, which is fine kind of from the first look, but it needs to be consistent throughout the app. That's why we're doing this. This is all in Figma, kind of like these are all layers and only the illustrations pasted in. And this works really well for me.
Do you have control over the temperature there? Maybe the temperature's too high.
That's a very good question. I don't know. Like I'm using the ChatGPT app, and I'm not sure if you do have control, to be honest.
Because
But
generally,
anyways,
when I put the temperature above the default, it does get a bit wackier on things. When I put it down, it sometimes says I don't have an answer, but at least it's truthful when it does have an answer.
okay, I need to try it out. To be honest, I don't know. So let's see. What? No, you did not. Okay, it's having problems replying. So I actually had this one before. Like it has problems removing a bunch of stuff. So what it sometimes figures out itself, but now it for some reason doesn't, is that just delete the file and recreate it with the single file.
There's actually there's an option checkbox on that in Roo that says don't bother diffing and delting files. Always just use write file to replace it. And I've had to kick that in occasionally just because sometimes the deltas get so crazy that I can't apply very well.
Okay, I know this works. Like sometimes you just have to kind of play around with these, update, and there is a couple of like these are Vite specific. They are basically just kind of these wrapper files which allow us to actually put them onto canvas, which contains example data and so on. So obviously they are also broken if we just literally removed all the cards, but that is fine. So yeah, we're like fully in a theme of not writing a single line of code ourselves. So that's basically what we're doing. Okay, that's moving ahead pretty well. I think so. The next step and thing that I would like to do is kind of having the interaction of you having a feature card or like a coding card in hand, dragging it over, and you being able to select which feature to actually work on. We probably won't be able to implement everything today, so that means I will have some time to think about how exactly marketing cards play a role and how the resources kind of come into play, because I think it makes sense and it is fun to have like some kind of resource management where you have to be careful which features and cards to implement, so not to either bankrupt yourself or make the app too shitty or something similar. But let's see. Cool. Now we can reload. Nice. So we have our basic coding cards in here. So it's all just basic coding now. And if we go to app view, start the game, we just have one basic coding card. So kind of the idea would be that you drag and then probably we may either have like the features as cards to the left or right, so it's a bit more compact, or we could make them hard, but you probably want to know which features to work on before you start dragging. You don't want to just drag just to see the features. So I'm thinking we could have like the different features as like a task list over here that you can just drag it onto.
Right. It should show up as you're dragging too. Yeah.
Exactly. and maybe they expand on drag so you have more information, but you still have kind of the information to work on. So
like a title with an expanded body.
exactly, something like that. Cool. So this worked. Now let's continue. So by the way, I've been saying this every stream and I'm just always kind of forgetting or stuff coming away. I haven't pushed the latest changes just yet. I don't think we need all these game design documents, which are just rehearsal of kind of other games, so I will not push them. But let's do, oh, we need to tap this magic button. So these are different AIs, by the way, so we need to tap the right one. Whatever this says, it's probably gonna be fine. And if not, then, well, who cares? So for the different features, like I thought, so that's where we can get creative and have like a pre-defined list of certain features, which probably most of them will be very similar or very basic, like implement authentication or login or whatever. But it's like a fun touch to actually have features you're working on, and there's gonna be like a draw pile kind of for features, so it's always random what kind of features you have as a way to build. So you may want to use your project management cards to like remove bad features that you don't want to work on because it goes against your kind of app design or whatever. So that's kind of the idea. So for this, we need some new data models because features are no longer cards, but rather kind of independent things. For this, where do we want to put it? Probably, okay, let's open a new chat. Like I like to clear the context to chat whenever we kind of logically move on, because it doesn't bring any value in having the same chat open. Let's describe what we want to do. Let's implement a new way of handling features. So a feature should be, okay, what is a feature? Should say contain, or no, be is a better word. A title, a fun description, a progress required to complete, integer. What else is a feature? So we have a progress that is required. We have what else do we have? I don't actually know. Let me open up my small notes. Is I need to. No, that should be fine. I think right now, I mean, it's gonna have some sort of effect on what it's gonna do. So let's say you implement a certain feature, it will need to kind of do something for you. I mean, that's where kind of my thinking becomes a bit fuzzy, how they interact with the marketing cards. But honestly, that's a later us problem. I don't care about it right now. Or maybe, yeah, it's gonna have some effects, like implementing features will like increase, decrease ratings and so on. So we probably want subclasses just as the base, like the cards. Let me think about this for a sec. Yep, I think that's good. We'll have like a superclass feature, just like the base class stuff, exactly the same architecture. And we're gonna have like an on-complete callback that every feature can implement. Most features will probably not do too much in that kind of on-complete. They're just gonna like potentially increase the users by a fixed amount or so. Subclasses can have an on-complete function to implement Cool. We want a superclass and create a couple of example fun features. Oh yeah, we forgot it should have an asset path to an illustration. Create a couple. We want fun features, and the asset path to the illustration should be empty string for now. So just because we don't have the assets just yet, we'll just keep them empty. What else do we have? I think that's it. Reference to the architecture. I like to do the references so we can have like, we want the same architecture as base cards and cards. So we're gonna pass that. Any questions? Let's just send it.
No, there's no question. It's just a ongoing discussion with an AI Luddite.
Oh, no, the any questions was for the AI, but yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
So what is the discussion about? Oh
Oh,
wow, it's a long discussion.
I answered your inside question as a meta question. Oh my goodness. Do the same thing you did earlier.
Okay, yeah, this actually looks pretty good. So
Okay.
we have. Yeah, I found that sometimes it messes up like the. I don't know why. Like this is such an easy thing to kind of not mess up. So
Right.
by the way, I'm not typing any code myself. I'm just pressing tab. So just
Okay.
for the record, this is AI generated the fix. So yeah, these seem to be a few fun project feature, and this is exactly what we wanted. Sounds good. Sounds good. Cool. So now we need a way to kind of visualize the features and keep track of what's on there. Like, let me open up the app. Over here. So we want these to be visualized. So we need them to be kind of part of the game state. So for that, we need to actually refactor the game state now, which is gonna be a bit of a pain, but because the AI should be smart enough to do the refactor, we should be good to go. So let's do a refactor of the core game logic. I mean, users, hours, starting hours per sprint. I guess we can keep these for now. Deck, we can also keep hand, we can keep discard pile, we can keep sprint and backlog and removed cards. We don't need these one, and sprint backlog we don't have anymore because every time you play a card it's kind of played and not kind of put into this backlog. Remove and in. It's like a puzzle. You just type and copy certain things and reference stuff. We want to remove these, and the
game state looks like it's becoming kind of a god object.
Well,
it necessarily is, but could it be? Are there some sub roles that might be split out from it? I'm just wondering if you ask the AI that.
yeah. I mean, we can always kind of separate kind of sprint tackling or like handling and like the hand itself into separate classes. I kind of like having the whole state of the current app in like this one immutable object because you can very specifically set up state and make sure that every state transition is kind of safe to do. Like you
Yeah.
can do a bunch of asserts and so on.
Just as an aside, though, I was just noticing there's a bit of code smell when you have an object with tons and tons of properties.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, we can, I
Don't
guess,
don't
clean this
don't
up a
get
bit at
distracted,
some
but
point.
maybe it's something we could try later,
List
and then see how much of it breaks.
features that can be implemented. Okay, now we also want to pass the game controller. I like to kind of just say context. This is kind of game controller just because there is some code that needs to be cleaned up over there. And we also want, so let me check, this is kind of the playing area. We have main game screen, hours indicator, sprint backlog widget, right? We have the sprint backlog widget, which we don't need anymore because we don't have the notion of backlog anymore. Also delete and replace it by playing area that should draw the different features worked on with a simple box and text, something like this. Like this is a first draft. We just wanted to render it. And it's gonna break some stuff because, for example, the void files do have reference to these, but we can fix it once we created this. It's kind of nice to see what it's thinking about. Like not that it would matter for us, but I mean, it thought for 16 seconds, so that has to mean something. But this is pretty cool. Gemini really likes to do this, where it kind of creates the plan itself. Would probably make sense, honestly. Like if it were to kind of pause first and kind of clarify and double check whether you're fine with the plan. It sometimes does, but not always. But honestly, I think it's fine at this point. Yeah, this looks pretty cool.
I keep thinking of all the carbon footprint of all the AI that we're doing now must be. I'm trying not to think about that actually because I'm wondering if that's actually going to put us over the top. That all this consumption for AI eventually raises the temperature even more. That would be weird.
I mean, it would be interesting to kind of see how much it is in comparison to other stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the cool thing about AI, specifically in terms of energy, is that it's not bound by some specific geography. So you can put data centers and like these energy demanding things in places where there's lots of energy, because you don't need like your fuels or like the energy in like in some place where there's not a lot. I mean, there are places where energy is super cheap for a reason. I suppose Bitcoin is similar, so I'm not sure if this argument really holds and is valid because Bitcoin isn't like not too good for the environment, even though there are places with low energy costs and you can mine from anywhere. But I mean, yeah, it's a valid concern.
Yeah, I've asked the question a few times out loud over the last few years. At what point does the energy consumed by AI exceed the energy consumed by mining? Well, I'm sure there's going to be a crossover at some point if it hasn't already happened.
What is going on over here? Like for some reason, in recent times, Gemini had problems applying code. And
Yeah, that's
I
what I
don't
was.
know.
That's why I flipped the switch on mine to just write the whole file rather than.
I don't know what happened. It's kind of scary because you start relying on like a specific tool and it changes like without you having any control over it. Like if you have your IDE, what if your IDE just change shortcuts every other week? Sometimes feels a bit like it's like this with AI. So yeah, just switch to Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Um, and it doesn't seem to have those issues.
Well, this is the cost of the fact that we're using software as a service, is that we're also subject to service upgrades.
The
And
issue is that you don't really have a choice
yeah,
because these models are so big, like even if you wanted to, like it's not trivial or even possible with these models to host them yourself. So it's really,
I tried using Quen the other day. My machine is not fast enough to run Quen at any reasonable speed. So
and I
yes,
suppose that's a pretty small
that's
model in comparison.
it's designed to be run on-prem, and it also is supposed to not require more than one GPU, which is all I have. Actually I have like 4 GPUs, so it should work pretty well. But yeah, it's just well, compared to like the problem is you get spoiled by 2.5 Pro, and it's like that just blazes, and all of a sudden then I go back to something that's on-prem, and it's like nope, nope. I was running Gemma for a while too, and no, definitely not. What machine do you have? I presume that's for me. I've got just a 17-inch MacBook Pro M1, one of the 2-year-old or 3-year-old models of those. Whenever the M1s were popular. They're on to M4 now, or M5. I keep forgetting. M5 raises the question of how close it is to that Star Trek episode that took over the Enterprise. RAM, I think, is 16 gig. No, is it 32? No, I think it's only 16.
Yeah, that's so nice. Like
16.
refactoring with models like these really work well if you don't need to be super backwards compatible or if you don't care about the code all too much, because
Right.
breaking stuff doesn't really matter because we're doing a refactor anyways and we're kind of doing a clean slate. So I feel like this just letting it go works really well because we're still very much exploring, and like stuff that is broken, it's I feel like the closer you are to production and already have like lots of things in place, I mean that's the case in general, the more careful you need to be and the more kind of you need to keep your AI on a short leash. But in situations like these, where there's like we don't care because we don't have any users right now, like it's just exploring. It's great to just letting the AI run wild and
Yeah.
doing whatever it needs to do. And I feel like the edits look really good. Like this is probably how I would do it.
How often do you recommend committing? I would recommend after every time that it works, make a commit.
You can always revert. Like we can go
Yeah.
back to any thing
I
and
don't
restore
trust
a checkpoint.
I don't trust those the same way I don't trust Git Stash. I grew up before Git Stash, and so I still make scratch commits instead of Git Stash because I can see a commit. I know how to manipulate a commit. I can't.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly how to manipulate a stash all the time, but I can always manipulate a commit.
Fair. But yeah, I mean, general best practice. If you have some kind of code you don't want to lose, it's probably good to commit before doing
Yes.
letting like an 8 billion parameter LLM run havoc over your code. That's for sure.
We're changing the entire code base to Spanish.
That would be interesting. Like, how dependent is it on like the specific syntax? If we kind of gave it a rule that every time it wants to use an A, it should use an E, or like some weird rule, like would it be able to like write the same quality of code, or would it become noticeably dumber? If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like if there's some arbitrary rule that we just replace this character by this one.
And it doesn't deal well with characters because it's mostly dealing with tokens, which include multiple characters typically.
Right.
And that would make it even harder. The old how many R's and whatever that word
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
True. Yeah, that's a very good point because it would probably be a completely different token. But even I mean, it is very good with typos. Like if you do typos, it will kind of have the correct word in mind because
Yeah.
it is learned that like a word with a typo is very close to like the actual word itself.
Oh yeah. It it's just still I know what it's doing under the hood, and I'm still amazed constantly. It's like the emergent behavior is constantly amazing me.
Oh yeah.
I said that just about like the internet 20 years ago too. I mean, it just I'm amazed. I know how this all works, but I'm amazed I can type at this machine here and it's talking to somebody in New York or whatever, right? It's like, yeah, I guess I I've lived in the golden era of being able to be a little more amazed every single year all my life. So I thought that was
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
But
Hopefully,
yeah, looking at yeah, go ahead.
sorry.
Feel free to go ahead. I'm just committing. What are these commit messages? Don't care.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, we have like features in place which look like this not showing up as some kind of weird thing
Mm,
whereby it like over here it works. So the last thing that we kind of want to do is being able to drag it on top, letting go, and it kind of doing the work for the feature. And honestly, like looks more fun already. I don't know why, but it's kind of just a notion of kind of working on a feature by dragging current on it. Just I don't know. It's a small things. So last thing we want to do, let's make it so we can drag cards on top of those feature widgets, and that makes the feature progress. Very vague, but hear me out. I think it has a bunch of context in there already. We're using the max model, so it has all the context retained. And then we can actually just pass whatever we want in there. Wait, what do we actually want? Game card widget. Honestly, I don't care, and I don't want to think about what we want to include. Let's just do this. Let's just not be careful about context and see what happens. Okay, so it's heading off and doing its thing. I mean, we need to like, I feel like this is the right direction. I feel like this really makes more sense because it's way nicer to have like these cards of making progress. There's a way clearer path forward in terms of if we want to upgrade this card by giving it some kind of relic or upgrade in the meta game, so to say, we can just increase the progress given for the same amount of hours. So it's kind of it's simpler to grasp and kind of play. We just need to figure out how is kind of a turn specified. We have our hours, so we probably have a turn. Is that a sprint? What happens afterwards? How are the user gains, money gains, and so on calculated? Those are kind of specific details, which, to be honest, I don't think is too important right now, and we will be able to figure that out next stream. But yeah, let's close all of this. And yeah, like I should probably do some stuff off screen too to progress, but like I don't know about you, but every time like these streams we've been doing it weekly at the beginning. Now we're switching to bi-weekly because like a week is just should. But I feel like these streams, the time between streams just passes by in a hurry. And I'm like, what? We gotta do a stream again. It's like it's just been a few hours since last one. It's crazy
Yep.
how fast time flies, I feel. But check this out. So it has play card, which like this is nice code. Like it looks like it's mutating stuff, but really it's not, because I mean it is, but at the top level where um, it is. Let's go back here. Apply progress to feature. It. I mean that I don't have to explain kind of the pattern. We're using this. How's it
Sure.
called? This immutable MVVM, whatever pattern you name it. It's all the same thing with different names, but we're like progressively mutating the state, which is like the collection of the whole game state. And I feel like this is a super nice pattern where, for example, if we play card on feature, it plays the card, meaning we actually consume hours, move to discard, etc. So that logic is contained. And then we apply progress to feature. It's so nice that it's all commented. It's all kind of neat and dandy. Check completed features. So then it does some debug. So this is perfect for now. And yeah, I think like the cool thing is every feature has some kind of like plus X for this, minus X for that. And so you decide on which ones to go towards. We just need to figure out how to kind of incorporate marketing cards, because I feel like those also should be like an integral part, but we'll see. Start game. Ooh, check this out.
Ooh. Oh,
Ooh.
drops.
Then we do a release. We get our hours back. They stay.
Wow. That's
And now we
cool.
can decide which ones to play. Like there's a short delay between this clicking this and disappearing. I think this is by design because we wanted to have some sort of animation there, which we're currently not having. I think we added a artificial delay. But yeah, I actually like this. Now imagine you don't just have this single card, but you may have like a project management card to reroll certain things, like a
Right.
marketing card to actually prepare some marketing. And then you have to kind of manage the hours you have to actually do progress in your app. I think, like, I don't know about you, but I like the direction this is going
Yeah, no, that looks
towards.
great. It looks great. I even liked that the increase of the
Oh
time
yeah,
spent is animated, which is very cool.
yes, it is. So I don't know how it is for you, but like I'm very intrinsically motivated in terms of like if I'm struggling to find like the meaning or a goal or like kind of a clear path forward where I feel like this is the most effective way to do, like I tend to like procrastinate and struggle. But if I know like exactly where to go and I have like a very clear idea in mind, like I can be hyper focused and productive.
Oh yeah,
And I guess it's been similar with the game where I wasn't sure where to take it and was like kind of procrastinating, preparing stuff and so on. But now I feel like this is going to a direction where I think it makes sense. So I think this is great.
well that's why MVPs are important, but also
Oh yeah.
incremental demos leading to the MVP are also important
Yes.
because wake everyone up to, oh, here's this is getting real now. We're really actually doing something that makes
Hmm.
change on the screen and moves data around and behind the scenes. And so yeah, this is useful feedback that we're actually driving down the proper highway,
Oh yeah.
so we're on the right road. GPS has told us the right direction to go.
Hmm.
We can see Seattle in the distance, so it's just a matter of getting there, just
Oh
down
yeah,
the
for
street.
sure. I honestly I think we're doing great. I mean, to be
Yeah,
fair, like I honestly almost didn't spend any time on this off stream. So it's been you can see everything we've been through. It's
sure.
been a couple of hours, but it's not like we've been working on this full time for 2 months or so.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I think like this is like I like this mechanic where you decide what to work on. You have some kind of manipulation, and the way I could think about marketing is they could be multipliers where, but it's kind of a delayed feedback kind of scenario where you play marketing cards to prepare for a big launch later on, so they don't actually provide any value at the moment. But then when you kind of do a big release, like I don't think this should be called release right now. This should maybe called go sleep. Like it could represent a day where you have like X amount of hours, and every day you go to sleep, and that's kind of where a new day begins, and you get a new hand of cards. And marketing cards could kind of be like having them in a list, and you kind of prepare blog posts, you prepare social media posts, and then when you do a big release, which itself might be a card, it will kind of take all the features you have completed for until then and multiply it by all the marketing cards that you have prepared, and you kind of try to squeeze as many features and as much marketing in. You risk having too much marketing, too little features. You may do a release too late, so you run out of resources and so on. But yeah, so I think there's a couple of interesting things in there.
There's to be a task called coordinate with offshore coworker. that doesn't produce a result until the next day.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think this really lives from kind of the resources that you have. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have any idea? So what kind of resources that we typically deal with when working on apps? Like I see App Store ratings as being like the holy grail. You want to be as high as possible. We have money, like you need to pay people, you need to kind of buy stuff. We have time, which is
Yeah.
kind of the three resources we have in there right now. And number of users. Is there anything else?
Conference appearances to promote the project. Well, I mean, that's part of your marketing scam, but something.
Oh, doesn't
I
work
don't know.
anymore.
Take a class to get better at working on some part of the code. Take a online class.
I mean, could be a great relic. Like you could at the end of like when you choose your upgrades, you may have like a card spend XYZ to get like a class so you become more efficient, meaning that these cards may, instead of doing one progress, they may do two progress at some point,
Yeah,
and that's how you become stronger.
right. Because you need to have. I think we've got a character here, and it needs to be able to be smarter as time goes on, or more productive, or something as time goes on.
But not just smarter. So I'm thinking that it could, like, you could hire developers, like you could get developer relic, meaning that like your time increases or like your output increases because
Right.
one work unit is now being worked on with like by multiple people, meaning that it could quadruple your progress. But but like I think for the details I need to do a bit more thinking
Okay.
and kind of get them down. Do you feel like there's more stuff we should implement now, or should we call it a short or like medium size, medium stream?
I'm okay with the medium stream part, just because I'm pretty focused on Google I/O tomorrow, so
Oh
um,
yeah, it's tomorrow.
getting ready. Well, I fly out tomorrow, and there's a few opening night events,
Mm.
and then there's the actual I/O event, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. And then as GDEs, sorry, I bit my tongue there. GDEs, we have stuff Thursday and most of Friday as well. So I'm actually staying in Silicon Valley until Saturday.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then I would say let's just finish over here. Doing some great progress this time, actually having our direction reoriented and nothing standing in the way of getting, like, yeah, as you said, getting an MVP out, getting like a base game out. I think this has it all. Like we can have the first couple of levels where your goal is to kind of get to the first thousands of users. We don't need to have like lots of content afterwards because the game is being worked on. But I think this is awesome.
Oh, excellent.
Cool, 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 cool.
Wow. Is that like a movie playing behind you, or is that people walking through it?
Oh no, there was a friend walking by. This is an actual office right now on a
Okay.
Sunday.
I'm like mine, which is a photo I took 7 years ago. But yeah, right.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Yes. Crater Lake, deepest lake in the U.S.
Ooh,
250 feet visibility, so you can see almost all the way to the bottom for about a third of it. Pretty cool.
It's awesome. I need to visit at some point.
Southern Oregon. Been there many times in my life.
Ooh.
Cool. Anyway, yeah, and so be sure to tune in to this show. Next Sunday, I guess we're doing the show again, right?
Yes. Let me share the link to the game. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
okay.
It's automatically
Yep.
using the account. So this is the repository. I swear I'm gonna push everything and get it up to date. Like I have the commits on, like I might as well just push. I just wanted to see if there's anything to clean up, if any files which are not meant to be in there are there.
Yeah.
But like honestly, I think I just need to push it. Feel free to check it out. Feel free to leave a star, an issue. I had an issue template for cards, which I have to slightly adjust with kind of the new way we handle cards. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Don't
pretty much
push
it.
the repo that has your Gemini key in it. That would be bad.
That would be suboptimal.
Yep, definitely. Alrighty. Well, Norbert, good to see you again. See you next
You too.
Sunday. And hopefully I'll see you.
Every other week, so it's gonna be Sunday in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, not next week?
No, like I rather
Oh,
decided to have it every other Sunday, so there's a bit more time in between. In best case, I have some time to kind of continue on the boring parts on my own and kind of focus on the fun stuff in the streams. So yeah, every other Sunday.
well, I may live stream then on next Sunday because I've already got the time allocated
Awesome.
to redo my pub dev search written in Dart MCP
Mhm.
to show how I did it and how I used PRDs and task lists and things like that with Gemini. So I may do that next Sunday. Watch the skies is the phrase. Watch the skies for the signs that maybe there is a live stream for me on next Sunday. So, but otherwise, yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'll see you
Awesome.
lots at IO. Hopefully, come up and introduce yourself. All right. Is there an outro video we can play? Is there something we care? We just quit.
I think we'll just